Hello and welcome. My name's Meredith McCarthy and I'm a clinical hypnotherapist and a trainer here in New Zealand. I'm based in Wellington, which is the capital of New Zealand for those that haven't been to New Zealand before. And welcome back to those that have tuned in to me. Thank you for subscribing. And for those that haven't subscribed yet, if this is the kind of thing that you're interested in, hit that subscribe button and help me out by liking this. I would really appreciate that. So let's get into it. Beyond trance and thinking about the lasting power of post-hypnotic suggestion, you might be asking, what on earth is that anyway? So let's look at this. We're going to explore one of the most fascinating tools in a hypnotherapist's toolbox, post-hypnotic suggestion. This is that moment when transformation stretches way beyond the actual session and into everyday life. So I'm going to share a little bit about what works and when it goes well and when it doesn't go so well. So we're also going to talk about the ethical side of it, storytelling, and how to make the suggestion stick gently, respectfully, and powerfully. So when we're kind of looking at the idea of leaving a session and finding yourself doing something differently without even having to think about it, that's one of the wonderful powers of the post-hypnotic suggestion. So if, for example, you have someone who's been a smoker for many years or been addicted to something, then the art of suggesting every time you would normally have wound down in the evenings, you now have this strong urge to get a nice cold glass of water. And it's like the best thing you could drink. So it's kind of the idea of building on an idea, what is going to be the new response to a time that normally you would have done this other response that is the undesired response. Post-hypnotic suggestion needs to be something that's come out of the session that you've had with your therapist. So it's not just something that the therapist has pre-scripted. It's something that should be organically evolved during that session. So it's carefully crafted and it's an instruction that's happening during the hypnosis with that practitioner, and it's designed to be active after the session ends. So it could be anchored into a doorway. So when you go home, every time you go home through that front door, you have this wonderful feeling of calm and clarity about who you are and what you've achieved today. So it could have come from a client session where every time they go home, they feel anxious about all the things they feel they haven't achieved. So it's that reframe, and it's helping that client to get into a more positive, respectful mind frame. When we're looking at examples, sleep can be really important for people to have a post-hypnotic suggestion. So it could be, well, when you go to sleep at night, how is it for you? And they might describe, oh, I toss and turn, or I can't get comfy, or my mind's really busy. And you say, well, how do you want to be? How do you want to go to sleep at night? And they might say, oh, I just want to switch off. Okay, so they might use that word switch off. So as a hypnotherapist, I'm going to grab that word, that description, and I'm going to say, as soon as your heavy, heavy head hits the pillow, relaxes into the pillow, your mind just switches off and you fall into a deep sleep. So you're utilizing the client's language and you're weaving it into that post-hypnotic suggestion. Motivation triggers. This is another thing that you can really work on in the way of motivation to do things like tasks. Maybe it's exercise, maybe it's work, like the stuff that you get paid to do. It could be a number of things, maybe housework or cleaning up the garage or mowing the lawns. But there might be a motivational down trend in that person's life. So I'm very curious about what's causing them the lack of motivation. So it could be an underlining feeling of what's the point, or a general depression going on where they just can't seem to get up and get going and doing even the basic things like motivated to get into the shower and have a shower to wake up for the day. So when I'm tuning into the client, I want to go, okay, what's going on that causes the lack of motivation, and how can we begin to reframe that? Now, so if a client says, oh, I just want motivation to get out of bed and go for a run. So, okay, well, can you tell me what that would be like? So you wake up, then what happens? And the client describes, well, I guess I've got everything organized to go for a run. So I've got my running shoes there, I've got my running gear, and I just need to get into that and go. Okay, does there need to be anything else that you need to do beforehand? Or maybe grab some water, but not too much. Maybe, again, I might need to think about leaving my phone at home, or actually putting in my favorite tunes for that run so I can listen to it while I'm running. So everyone's going to have their own idea of what success might look like. So as a hypnotherapist, I'm asking people to describe what success is for them. And then what I want to do is really aim for the most useful post-hypnotic suggestion. So I've got their description in my mind, and I'm going, okay, so as soon as your eyes open, you have this wonderful feeling of motivation, and it gets you up straight away. And even just doing that adds to that level of motivation, and you just get out there for that run and it feels so good. You feel so alive, so happy, so well. You come back, have a shower, and you get ready for the rest of your day knowing that that day started in the best possible way. And it just gets easier and easier from there. So that's the kind of post-hypnotic suggestion. You're allowing that person to imagine success in their mind, imagine the timing of when they're going to feel certain key emotions. And the emotions are a big part of a post-hypnotic suggestion as well. It's not just about cueing in what they're going to do, it's about how they're going to feel as they do it. That is a big part of a successful hypnotic suggestion or post-hypnotic suggestion. Also, calming signals. So it's helping that person maybe for anxiety or stress, and they might need to go and have a trip overseas, and they have to hop on the plane, and they've got a bit of a fear of planes or traveling overseas. So how do they want to feel? You're coming back to the client, you're asking them a whole lot of great questions, and you're listening. You're listening to the kind of words that they use to describe the kind of sensations that they want to experience as they go on that trip. So they might say, I want to feel more confident. I want to feel safe and secure. I want to feel like I'm cocooned with professionals sort of flying me from A to B, and I feel really safe at all times. Great. So I'm going to utilize their language. I'm going, and as soon as you sit down and you buckle up, ready for that flight, you have this wonderful feeling of being cocooned, feeling so safe and so good, trusting in the professionals to fly you safely from one place to the other. Now, it may seem repetitive, like you're just repeating their words, but if you're anchoring it in and you're utilizing their words are very, very powerful. So you're anchoring in the thing that they're going to do, so the action and the emotion. You might even build on the belief as well. So all those three things can be very, very powerful when we're building up a post-hypnotic suggestion. The subconscious mind's role in carrying them forward is a big part of what hypnotherapists do for people, is talking directly to that subconscious part. Now, it is a bit like an affirmation, but that post-hypnotic suggestion has a deeper, more somatic anchor. So again, we're talking directly to the subconscious here. Now, when we use them in therapy, we can build confidence maybe around when they hear a phone ring. There could have been some past trauma around picking up the phone and hearing bad news or stressful news. So every time the phone rings, they're not feeling good about what that phone call could be about. So they let it ring. Obviously, that's not always functional to let your phone ring. Sometimes it's useful to be able to feel confident enough to pick up the phone. It could be even in a workplace scenario. So let's say you've been triggered in the past and you have to pick up phones for work, like literally answer phones as part of your job. And if you've got this phobia or worry about who's at the other end and what they're going to be telling you, that could be a big problem. So inviting the client to think, how do you want to feel? And every time you do that, what could be something that you would like to remind yourself that could make you feel better? Is there something that you could do that could help you? And they might say, oh, I guess I just need to take a deep breath and just chill. And then I can pick up the phone more easily. Or they might have some other ideas. So again, as a hypnotherapist, my job is to relay that and weave that into a post-hypnotic suggestion. It might sound something like, and as you go to work every day, you feel really good about the positive shifts and changes you've already made around how you feel about phones and answering them easily. And you're able to answer them easily because you know that there's a part of you that has done the work to overcome any anxiety that you might have had in the past. In fact, instead of feeling anxious, you feel really amazing. You feel empowered and ready to go to work and do that work at your 100% capacity. And every time you finish a workday, you find this feeling of satisfaction. It hits a deep core level of that emotional self. So you go away feeling proud of what you've achieved, feeling capable and confident, and it just builds upon itself. Now, you could have it when they hear the phone ring or when they pick up the phone physically, when they hear the voice at the other end. So you can prime it to be any time during that, I guess, experience. It could even be just walking into the office. You feel ready and able and capable of answering any phone when you need to. So adding those post-hypnotic suggestions and getting a person to, again, run through that dress rehearsal while they're in hypnosis and imagine success, which is really important. So they're not imagining what they're not wanting to do, but they're imagining what they're going to do, and you're adding in the cue, like when are they going to do that and how it's going to feel and what is the belief that they're going to be building as they do it. Emotional eating might be another reason why you might put in some post-hypnotic anchors. So when her hand reached towards the pantry, she paused and checked, do I really need it? So this is kind of a scenario. So I might say, and when you move towards the kitchen and you notice the pantry is there, you pause now and check, do I really need it? So it can change into a very direct suggestion that can be acted upon when it's time. And when you realize you don't really need it, you go away feeling really proud that you've woken up and you're now on top of things. So this could be really important to weave in again about that emotional outcome that that success would bring. Teenage anxiety. It could be that they could imagine their hoodie as an invisibility cloak of confidence at school. So every time you wear your hoodie, you have this invisibility cloak of confidence. And it feels so good because you can go about your daily routines at school feeling happy and confident every single time. So when we're looking at that idea of a post-hypnotic suggestion, it can be really on anything, any topic. When we're thinking about a good post-hypnotic suggestion, it needs to be clear, simple, emotionally aligned, meaning it needs to be in line with what the client wants to experience. You cannot assume what a client may want to experience. So it's important when you're talking and when you're developing the rapport that you're asking those questions. So how do you want to feel? You've got to elicit the feelings from the client, not, I'm sure you want to feel more confident, don't you? it's a bit pushy when you come at it like that. So it's really important that you elicit that answer from the actual client themselves. The other one is based on the client's own words and metaphors. So kind of building on that, like I said before, you've got to tune in and really listen to the client and utilize their own words and metaphors back at them in that way. Also, positive reframing. So each time instead of a controlling phase, you will always, each time you find it easier and easier to do something that really excites you, getting out and about and motivating yourself to do new things all the time. So there could be any kind of positive each time in building on whatever that might mean to the client. It's not about getting someone to do something. It's about activating something they already want. So it's really important that the client's ready for it. That's huge. So you're not pushing the client into something they're not ready for. I had a client actually earlier today, and she's been tracking her alcohol usage. And the idea of quitting alcohol just for her is not even on the table. So if I, as a practitioner, were to push that more and more, and I were to add that into a hypnotherapy session at this point with her, it wouldn't be ethical because I'm pushing my timing onto that client. If, however, later on she comes to that place where she says, yes, Meredith, I'm ready to quit the drinking, and we explore what that means to her, and we build on how do you want to feel and what are you going to do, and what parts of the day do you want to really reinforce. I start to do some real work around what it's going to be for her, that what does success look like, pretty much. And then when she's ready, I'm going to then reinforce that using the post-hypnotic suggestions. But it's in their timing. When it goes wrong, so a person may not be ready for change, and you might not have read that cue, and they may become a little bit anxious every time there is a suggestion that would cause the client to feel like they have to perform, like they must do it this way because Meredith told me to. I don't want that, all right? So when we're kind of looking at that importance of consent, so that the client must be ready for that change, and you have to be listening out for that readiness, and then helping that client to build on that readiness feeling. Being adaptable as well, so changing the anchors or the symbols may change the meaning. So it could be that you've picked an anchor that isn't working. So it could be, let's think about it. Every time you do the dishes, you are beginning to feel calmer and clearer about getting on top of things. Now, if the client comes back and say, every time I do the dishes, it just makes me think about all the things I have to get on top of, and it's overwhelming. So clearly it hasn't gone quite the way you thought the suggestion would. It's instead caused the client to maybe fixate on all the things that they haven't done yet. So we might need to tweak that, and it's not coupling it to something that in the past has made them feel overwhelmed, because there might have been a memory in there that every time they were doing the dishes, they felt always overwhelmed. So you might not have identified that. So it might be every time you see that the dishes have been done, it makes you feel good because you know you're making progress. So that could be a different reframe around that particular thing, but just taking it away from the act of doing the dishes to I've done the dishes and now I feel like I'm making progress and I can do other things more easily. So it's just tweaking sometimes that experience for the client. being adaptable is a huge part of being a hypnotherapist, actually, and also checking in at the follow-up session, like what's really happened between that last session and this time now. Has the client done those things? How's it been for them? How's it felt? It's a really important part, I think, of being a responsible therapist. It's not just one session and you're all done, assuming that the client's landed well. It is important to have follow-up sessions with people and just build on those things that they've been able to achieve. The ethical practice and respect is a big part of therapeutic practice in my sessions. So the use of your voice as a respectful tool. So we must always ask, am I guiding or am I directing too much? Sometimes we can go into fix-it mode for the client, go, I know what you need. As soon as you find maybe that trickling out of your mind or your voice, probably you need to back out of there for a moment and ask a different question. And that might be, again, coming back to the client, say, so tell me, what's important that I need to know about you and what you need? Much better angle. And that client's then going to have a sense of ownership of that. Whereas if you go into, you must, or you are now, from now on, you are, and you're very authoritarian styled kind of as a hypnotherapist, you may not land well for some people. Some people are wanting that, granted. They're wanting to be told what to do and then off they go and do it. But a lot of people these days, they want to feel heard and they want to feel like it's coming, that change is really directly coming from them, their own breakthroughs and their own inner power. Ethics, clarity, transparency, and autonomy. These are really important things to kind of be always aware of in the therapeutic exchange with your clients. So post-hypnotic suggestions should be discussed openly, tailored for the client's benefit, not the therapist's agenda, and flexible to evolve over time. So I invite you, if you've really kind of maybe journeyed through your life and you want to become a hypnotherapist or want to help others overcome their fears and phobias and learn the art of suggestion, we do have a hypnotherapy school here in New Zealand, but it is online. So no matter where you are, if you can tune in once a week for 2.5 hours for our live sessions, you're welcome. So it's a 1,000 hour diploma course and we cover all sorts of interesting things. So the students are just about to learn about post-hypnotic suggestions for this module starting on Thursday. So yeah, if you want to find out more information about joining, please visit nzach.ac.nz and I can have a chat with you. You can ask all the questions you want. We have a 30-day money-back guarantee, meaning you can trial coming on board, and if it's not for you, it's okay. I really want students that it makes sense for them to be there and they really want to learn and be a clinical hypnotherapist and helping people out there in the world to activate positive change. So if you are interested, get in touch. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. I always like to find out how these things land for people. And yeah, thank you for your time and attention. I'll see you next week at next week's talk time, same place. We launch one every Wednesday morning, New Zealand time at 7 a.m. So again, thank you. Bye.